if we shifted the goal, we shifted the intention to expanding their view so that they could see more, that would open up possibilities, that would spark their own possibilities. Well, so that's the intention of coaching the person in the topic. Go ahead.
We've been requested to provide another practice or another way of building some capacity in peer coaching circles. And we were asked about this particular topic, coaching the person in the topic. So in this particular one, I'll bring it up on screen while I'm talking about it in post-production here. But it's the river metaphor, right? We have, we've been using this now for a few years, but we've given a bit more language to it to help people see how, in a visual way, how they're being in a coaching conversation or any conversation. The coach is standing on a bridge and they're out of the issue, they're out of the topic, and the person in the topic is floating down the river, floundering, kind of struggling with their topic in the water. And as humans, we have, I believe this, and we talked about this, we have like a restless desire to help them get out of that water as soon as possible. And it might take me diving into that water for it to take place. But that's not where we're best served. When we get wet and we dive in, we're now part of the problem. We're now in the problem. We could drown together. We're best served in this circumstance by asking questions to help them uncover what's around them, what's at their disposal, so that they can get themselves out. And in our coaching conversations, I often will get wet. I will either dip my toe in or dive straight in, depending on how maybe emotionally attached I am to the topic, or just my pure discomfort that I want them to feel better. And I think I know a way that they can get out. But in my heart of hearts, I know that I'm not helping build any capacity in this regard. And I also know that they have the best answers inside of themselves, provided that I can ask some questions to help them see more. What's around me? Where do I want to go? Why is it important to me? Why is it important to me now? And if I can do that, then I've done my job. But the other thing is, if I dive in, I'm now focused on the particulars of their challenge. And it might not actually be the problem at all. It might be the way that they're being in their challenge or problem right now. So I have to meet them where they are by asking those questions.
And they may grab onto you and say, take me, just help me, tell me where to go. Mm-hmm. And that isn't capacity building. When you uncover, when you expand the view, when they start to see what's possible, what's slowing me down, where's my roadblocks, what really matters right now, what am I seeing that I hadn't seen before, it sparks their own possibilities. It provides clarity, and then they are often able to swim on their own, capable, because you're building the capacity for them in their worlds, with their spheres of influence, to see, what do I know? What don't I know? Who could support me? What do I care about right now? What would be that one small thing that would be a good start when I have to address this issue? What am I ready to do right now and capable and wanting to do? So that sparks possibility. And then you have bite size, and they are discerning through their own wisdom, through their own world, through all their own capabilities, with a little bit of growth, what their next move can be. But when we're in beside them, we are going to want to grab them. That's our restlessness that you were talking about. And they are going to want us to help them, because that's what we've been trained to do.
Yeah, been rewarded for giving advice and helping people along, right? I know you wanted me to share my story about my new client, but I think we're better served by the business card scenario, because I was the coach, you were the client, or the coachee in this scenario, So you can see both sides of this same story without speculation, right? So you came to one of our calls with a problem, right? I don't have a business card. I want a business card. And if I'd like you to share your experience of that conversation quickly so that people can see how easy it is to get wet, and how I tried to stay out of that, and how even the people listening in were diving straight in, right?
Yeah. So I truly felt that was my topic. Was I just was stuck trying to figure out what I wanted on my business card and how to get the business card done, and so I could start to promote. I was just graduating from the public service. So I wanted to be coached on what was getting in my way and how I could get this card ready. So as you were coaching me and you started to ask some questions, I don't know what the question exactly was, but you started to say, what's really holding you down, weighing you down, I think was the word. I remember that. I remember feeling the weight in my body. And it was a conversation with Glenn, my husband. And there was some tension around what my retirement life was going to look like. And so immediately the topic had shifted from getting my business card done to this was what I needed to be coached around, getting ready or finding out how to have that conversation with Glenn. The interesting part of the practice, because we were doing a demo, a real live one, the people that were learning from us, their takeaway questions that they were giving me were ways to get my business card done. They had still been attached to my topic.
Right. They didn't go with the flow with the conversation. They dove into the topic. They got wet. Oh, I have the right business card format. I have the right website for you to go to. I know what font you should use. Like, they're into the details, which is getting wet. But when you can stay outside of that, be unattached to where they float down the river, you allow them to tell you where to go by giving you back the steering wheel to find out what it is that you want and where do you want to take it. That's the coaching conversation. That's the goal. That's the expansion of the view, not the diving in the details. Because if we had gone there and I did coach you on font size and pictures and that kind of stuff, it wouldn't have served you because that wasn't your stumbling block.
I would have probably felt like I got what I needed if you hadn't explored, if you stayed away from my topic and you started to hear my hesitation. So that's the second piece, is that a way of listening. There's another way we listen to check in on not just the topic, where is the person at in their topic? So what's racing through your mind right now? What are your thoughts? What's the one thing now that we've had this conversation that you feel needs to be dealt with first? That often will, and that's when the topic could either expand, shift, or move forward. And so it's that checking in. We talk about that a lot in the peer coaching circle, right? How are you doing? Where are you at right now? Because they are going to tell us the clue where they're at in here. So we have to check in with ourselves. Where am I? Am I, in that conversation of wanting to get them to action, to get them out of the water? Am I in the water? So it's a really cool practice to say that's absolutely normal when you're starting this. You said you dip your toe and jump in, guilty as charged many times. But I noticed that my practice in coaching, my coaching development, is noticing when I'm getting and pausing and getting my way back out on the shore. And that's by checking in with them.
So that to me is being comfortable with the uncomfortable, being okay not having an answer, not giving direction or advice, not caving to them, giving them advice because they asked for it. It's being okay not knowing long enough to allow them to find out their own inner knowing. Do we want to give them a specific practice for themselves on this?
Sure. what would you do, Ian? Let's talk about our own way, because I see the practice, it's twofold. When we're growing their capacity by allowing them to explore their own view, their own way forward, our growth is how do we stay present and attend to the coach, the person, and the topic. You don't abandon the topic. You're coaching the person in their topic. How do you make that shift? So when you get wet, the practice is how do you get back on shore?
Right. Um, are you asking me what my practice would be in that case?
Sure, let's start with you and I'll add in.
So, first of all, it's noticing that I have that restless desire in myself and I want to help. Am I trying to either help solve the problem or point them in a direction that I think they should go? That's my first recognition that I'm wet, because I've gone in with them. So if I do recognize that I'm doing that, the way I get myself out is by asking them, where do they want to go? Getting clarity from them. Is this where you want to go? Is this what you're looking for? I know those are close questions, but basically give it back to them so that they can decide what direction we take it from here. You've shared a lot over the last 10 minutes. Where would you like to take us from here? And let them course correct. Yeah, you know what? We talked about that other thing, but I think I really want to focus on this. Great. Now you've given them back the agency for them to take the cart in their own direction, and then you ask questions based on that direction then.
I love that. And I would add in, because when we've gotten wet, there may have been some leading questions. We may have popped in some advice. And like we say, we're human beings. These conversations are messy. So if that question that you just used as the example, if they don't go in the direction of where you were leading them or giving them advice, it's abandoning everything that you put out there, being capable and to say, I'm letting that go. And that's why we talked about gifting advice. Sometimes we slip it in, but it's not being attached to where we took them. And so letting that go and being able to shift. So you really pointed out this restlessness, giving them back the steering wheel, and then getting back onto what we call the metaphor of the shore, and asking that question. You wrote a lot down. What's coming to mind right now? What's one thing you think you could do, want to explore some possibilities around? Remember, we want to spark the inner wisdom of possibility. We all have it.
And you
So
mentioned
both of ours kind of tie in nicely together.
Yeah, and what you mentioned in our last conversation was when we skip that conversation for possibility, when we rush to action by going to advice, we skip that conversation for possibility, which is a gift to them when they kind of have that realization of, oh, I could do this and that would be cool, and that's still a possibility for me. And that's an amazing spark for them to take some kind of action moving forward. But we rob it of them if we give them something to do based on,
and that's where they're developed. Totally, and that's where their light shine. You'll know, you have seen it. All of us have seen it. Their eyes light up. It's like, oh, I get it. I've got it. It comes to them, and then you play. Let's explore that look, and what would that look like? What will be a baby step? Who can help you back? When we hang up, who's the person can you reach out to support you, so that they feel really energized and capable. So isn't it interesting that the goal isn't they've got the right action, that we've sparked possibility and they feel energized and they feel capable.
Now we do have kind of the more scripted language as far as a starter kit for the in conversation. So part of that was our self-reflection and how we can start noticing and building our own internal capacity not to dive in. But when we're in the conversation, we have a series of about 9 questions here that will keep you playing in the relationship conversation and the kind of dipping into possibilities conversation. that'll steer you clear of getting wet. So I'll pop that in this green, and I'll probably even drop it in the descriptor below, and then people will have those questions at their disposal too. Awesome. Hope this helps.
Play. Hey, have fun. That was our motto today. Have fun.
Have fun with it.
Have fun. Play.
Be really okay getting wet, and notice it, and then try to keep yourself drier.